I'd like to introduce Mayor Elorza to share his thoughts. Mayor.
Good morning, everyone. I want to begin also by recognizing the AG, Peter Nerona. Thank you for leading this effort and for everything that you and your team have done to get us to this point. I also want to take a point of personal privilege for a brief moment and recognize our city solicitor in Providence, Jeff Dana, who has been working very closely and has been the lead point person for my team, working with the Attorney General and his team. So thank you, Jeff. I also want to recognize and thank the governor, the speaker, and the Senate president, not just for being here, but their courage in passing the harm reduction bill is truly something that we haven't seen throughout the country, and is placing Providence on the cutting edge, on the front lines of this work. So thank you to each of you for leading on this issue. I also want to recognize my colleagues in local government, Mayor Lombardi and Administrator Nada, along with adding my voice to the chorus, recognizing Eva and your work and what you did to bring folks together. Thank you, everyone. Last but not least, I want to recognize Secretary Jones for all the work that you lead and will continue to lead to address this issue. As has already been mentioned, the opioid crisis is a national catastrophe that spared no one. I think, personally about my cousin Raquel, who became addicted to opioids as a teenager. And I saw firsthand how it had such a devastating impact on our own family, how my aunt and uncle, they worked so hard to save their first daughter from the ravages of these drugs. My cousin Raquel, unfortunately, she became more and more addicted, eventually started stealing eventually from the family, and you can just imagine how much heartbreak it caused until eventually she disappeared. And to this day, we don't know whether she's alive. We don't know where she is. And that's just one example. And I think it's fair to say that not a single person in our city, our state, or in our country has gone untouched by this crisis. As a point of example, as the AG mentioned, about 350 Rhode Islanders die every year from opioids. And as a point of comparison, roughly 30 Rhode Islanders die each year of gun violence, and about a couple of dozen die each year of car accidents. However, what's so sinister about opioid deaths is that many people suffer in silence. There's still this shame associated with opioid addiction and everything that leads to. And so it doesn't get the attention that the other more high-profile deaths do on a daily basis. But make no mistake about it, the dependency, the crime, and the widespread heartbreak and misery that it leads to is far greater than what we see in so many other areas. That's why I'm very happy to see that if not full justice, some justice is brought to some of the biggest drug dealers in world history. Nothing can be done to undo the despair that has been wrought by these opioids. But these dollars will certainly help as we address these issues going forward and make sure that fewer and fewer Rhode Islanders succumb to this in the future, and less families have to deal with the heartache that so many of us have already endured. Congratulations, AG, and I look forward to the work ahead.
All right. Mayor Lombardi, if you would, sir.
Thank you very much, Governor McKee, Attorney General Nerona, Senate President, Speaker Shikachi, and all of our elected officials here this morning. As the president of the League of Cities and Towns, today's announcement is the result of what happens when municipalities and our state join together for the common good. This, ladies and gentlemen, could only occur when you had or have a governor then who was the lieutenant governor that was a municipal leader at the time and understands how important local involvement is. I'd like to thank the governor for that. Now, municipalities will have an active role in opioid abatement for the next decade. The major victory for our municipal government is having a voice at the table when decisions are going to be made for the spending of some $100 million. Each city and town is receiving funds to allocate the way they believe will be necessary for both reimbursement for the monies that were spent and for awareness and early intervention. This agreement between the state and local governments provides for equal representation. In my opinion, this is just another tool in our toolbox to address this serious opioid crisis. We are grateful to the governor, as the lieutenant governor, for bringing us together to get involved in this national litigation early on. I can remember, as was stated, when Lieutenant Governor McKee brought us all in with Attorney Mancuso, urging that we all come together. Attorney General Nerona, thank you for making sure that Rhode Island has its own settlement in place with immediate payouts so that we can put this money to work. This most definitely will make a difference in our cities and towns and help save lives. I'd also like to join Attorney General Nerona in recognizing my childhood friend, Deb Parenti. Deb, God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And now I'd like to introduce East Greenwich Town Administrator Andy Noda. Andy?
Thank you. I'd like to just start off by thanking the governor for his continued leadership and the Attorney General for really for his personal work on this, as well as the team of the AG's office for delivering what is, what's going to be a substantive impact on all Rhode Island cities and towns. My colleagues that are here in strength today, in unity, and we as municipalities in Rhode Island like to pride ourselves in that respect. Your presence is being felt. I would like to acknowledge them for being here and their continued contributions on this critical initiative. Eva Mancuso, who led the legal team for many of us that joined that lawsuit, give you much credit. We're not always easy to deal with, and you were able to cobble together the priorities that we all have, and there were many, and it was a broad conversation. But we do respect the articulation of the Attorney General relative to recognizing the statement and the need for a voice for municipalities on this issue. And I think that was heard, and we are much appreciative of the end result that came through in the MOU agreement. Just a couple of quick comments relative to, not about funding, but really about the reality of what this settlement will do. You know, I'm really here to share some of the thoughts and perspectives briefly, and I enjoy playing the role of kind of wrapping up the municipal perspective. Really what it comes down to, Rhode Island is cobbled together and held together by less obvious, smaller cities and towns. This initiative, this opioid crisis, affects everyone. There's no border, as has been mentioned by many of the speakers here today. So ultimately, it's a lot of the less obvious communities that have actually sustained significant impacts, and we are now going to be in a position to be able to put together a well-balanced program and move forward to address this issue. East Greenwich, like many Rhode Island towns, has been forced to address the host of drug-related concerns impacting all age groups. We anticipate that these settlement funds will best be utilized by addressing problems where they occur, actually before they occur, through organized and targeted prevention initiatives on a statewide basis. We encourage the committee and others, communities, to use funds targeted at those initiatives, along with creating, of course, supports for those that are seeking and actually need the help directly. East Greenwich, similar to many other cities and towns, has long dedicated resources to addressing substance abuse in its many forms. We happen to be one of the few communities that has a full-time director of substance abuse and mental health counseling. That has been needed no more than the past 2 years in pushing through our COVID pandemic crisis. There are many dynamics that lead to addiction and misuse that we're all familiar with, but I'm just going to note them quickly. Things probably everybody in this room is familiar with: stress, anxiety, pain management, family dynamics, socioeconomics, and societal attitudes. With this added support, we anticipate augmenting endeavors by adding a comprehensive array of services at the municipal level on a statewide basis. Opioid abuse, along with other substance use, has clearly been exacerbated at all age levels over the past 2 years during our COVID crisis. Many facets of our community working in concert together on a local level and on a statewide level through our Rhode Island community will be needed to curtail the spread of drug use and abuse. With all of that being said, Rhode Island cities and towns appreciate the additional funding resources to help support our ongoing efforts and to build a program to address our present and future addiction challenges. This is not just a youth-related problem from our perspective. It's one that impacts our entire Rhode Island community and needs to be treated as such on a go-forward basis. Cities and towns, including East Greenwich, look forward to standing here at this podium again in the future as our effort continues in attempting to achieve additional settlements that will support our ongoing efforts to combat this crisis. Thank you.